Hello,
if you-
hi. I'm just gonna do some troubleshooting right now and double check that everything seems about right. I see Donna just joined us. Am I coming in clearly enough? All right, thumbs up. Perfect. Donna, are you able to unmute and then see how the audio is on our end?
I'm able to unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Perfect. All right, thank you. And, I'm gonna go ahead and just mute until we call the meeting to order. Who do we have from TSD? Who's our host today, if you don't mind me asking?
Hey, it's Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. Hi. Well, thank you for hosting the meeting today. Appreciate that. Just a quick heads up that our second in-person member is going to be about 15 minutes late, is what they anticipated. Might be a bit quicker than that. So I will call this meeting to order when they show up, and we'll get things going. We did have a Mr. Todd Borgman planning to attend virtually. So whenever he shows up, if you wanted to just promote him to panelist, that would be great. And I will help keep an eye out for that attendee as well.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. All right.
Just to-
Tron, I can't hear. Please unmute.
We haven't called it to order.
Okay.
Right.
But
Michelle, if you could permit me to share my screen, I'll pull up the agenda and then I'll call this meeting to order in just one moment.
You're good to go.
I have my glasses on.
All right, so no one trying to enter the meeting, I see. Okay, we'll keep our eyes out. It sounded like Mr. Boardman was gonna try to attend virtually. Was that the indication you got? Yes. Like clearly, or was he just trying to inquire if we had an in-person quorum?
That's how I took it.
Okay, so we're hoping that he'll try to join virtually, but we do have a quorum here and we will have enough to take official action with you even potentially recusing yourself.
Okay.
So with that said, I'll go ahead and call this to order. I'd like to call the Monroe County Surveyor Review Board regular meeting July 19th, 2022 to order. We have board member Eric Deckard and Rachel Ozer here, which meets the physical requirement of in-person attendees. Absent is Todd Boardman that may join us later. We'll move to the approval of the agenda. We could kind of do two. I was going to ask that we table the minutes of last meeting. We got into that discussion with using GIS or using section corners with GIS, and I just wanted to work with Donna to really clarify that statement. I think what we have is good, but I think the nuances are very important to have very clear distinctions between what the goal and intent is. And I would just ask that we eliminate item 3 from the approval of agenda, and we'll bring that to you next time.
do we need to make a motion for that?
Mhm.
Motion for that.
All right, there's a motion. All
Table item 3.
right, so a motion to approve the agenda and just
With the-
eliminate.
And
item 3.
eliminating item 3, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Second.
in a second. All right, I'll call the roll. Eric Deckard,
Yes.
Rachel Ozer.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. So we'll go right to new business office update. I was on vacation last week. There's our office stuff.
Did you have fun?
I had fun. I got to see my grandma, and she turned 91 in January.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's still sharp as a tack. And she finds my dad embarrassing, and he's always like, "Ricky, leave me alone. I can do this," because she has a stroller and she doesn't want any help, and she refused to have any help when I was present. But it was great to see her, and I got to see my dad too. It was fun. And Jason did an excellent job of holding down the fort, with kind of being our senior staff here, and even with having a new part-time, we did great. The workload was very minimal when we got back, and most of that was due to the coordinator not being filled and GIS requests. So it was excellent. I'll open it up if you have any questions, potentially. No, then I will move forward to review of the surveys, which we reviewed last time. We just kind of put that on there because we'll probably be looking back and forth at the section corners and the survey. So I will kind of just skim through that we had a service agreement in place with Mr. Deckard to perpetuate 4 contiguous sections in Township 9 North, Range 2 West, Section 15, 16, 21, and 22. Indicated in last month's meeting, Mr. Deckard's going to recuse himself on the certification of corners, and I find that quite fine, and there's no real reason you would have to, but I think it's quite okay since we do have another member here that could take action. So with that said, I kind of want to open it up to the board to kind of give me some direction of how to look at these. I mean, they're 25 section corners, and that's a lot of information to cover. I was curious if we want to just look at certain monuments. As we have highlighted, those are monuments that weren't previously perpetuated, and there's only a handful of those. I am going to skim through a lot of the packages so the public kind of sees, what they're getting with, the expenses that the surveyor's offices are incurring and utilizing from our section corner perpetuated fund, which is, income from the recorder's office. So, I will kind of highlight some kind of higher standards that we're able to achieve with these service agreements, just to be, very transparent with what the public's getting. Outside of that, I'm kind of opening it up to the board to kind of see how they would like to move forward.
I think I would like to, hopefully we could have Eric kind of take the lead for a portion of it anyways, and just tell us about the new corners.
Okay.
And then also anything that we would, anything interesting about the recertifying
The recertify.
corners. That way, because he can probably just hit the highlights
Sure.
pretty efficiently, and then after that, if you wanted to
So just the ones that you have in yellow.
sort of like read each, say the name of it, and then we would be like, okay, we're looking at it, and you can point out whatever the thing is that you want to point out about it,
Right.
and then
Okay.
maybe, so go through them one by one after Eric's
Well,
gave
I
us the rundown. Would that?
Well, I kind of see what you're saying. I think I could kind of go through each one and then pause. You're like, oh, hey, there was something significant on here. We could kind of expand on that. And then
that
we
would
just
work
kind of
too.
run through each one
Yeah.
because then it gives us a nice flow to it. So,
But not like reading all the stuff.
no,
but
not
just
reading all the stuff, just
When
giving.
you're saying you want to highlight it, you're talking more about saying, see how we have history on here and stuff like
Okay,
that.
so we'll look at monument record, Richland I-09. As you can see,
Let's keep this survey.
I will-
Things good.
did we put page numbers on here? On the bottom? Oh, we don't have page numbers. That's fine.
If you just go in order of the packet, I'll
Yeah.
be able to keep up.
It'll be order of the packet unless you ask me to jump through anything, and I'm gonna try to follow along as well.
Okay, the first person who knows which survey it's on, just say it out loud. Maybe it's
Right on.
help.
So this is Richland I-09 section, it's a
It
section
shows on
corner.
Section
It's-
16.
It it shows on the section 16 survey.
Okay.
And it was previously perpetuated in 1982, and I'll bring that monument up as well, right here. That was performed by Edmund Fargus. We have a date, a day. Ooh, no signature, but I mean, I just love generally finding dates and days on some of these. with that said, Mr. Deckard, this was a found monument, is that correct?
Yeah. And it was previously tied, like you said, by Ed Farkas. I was just trying to see if there was, I see that William Harris was 1816, but I don't know whether he would have been the original person that set the post. I'm just trying to see if we had, who may have originally perpetuated that corner with the stone.
Does look like you found one original or one witness from 1982. That's cool. I agree. I don't want to take it from you guys. I have this copy. I can see it. I just gonna need it like take an Advil after. Probably not really.
Paper. So, as was noted just now, there was an old elm found in,
Hickory.
It was a hickory.
oh, the hickory right
Oh,
here.
and he noted
The
it in
4
survey
inch piece.
evidence
Okay.
too. So you, it looks like you theorized that Ed Farkas actually set this in 1982. Oh, because he says he said it. Oh, you know what I think? Just sometimes he says that about a found plant, when he found a rock planted. I
Mhm.
think sometimes he said that word, which is super confusing. And I've just determined that based on I think I found some stone that was like engraved and, clearly from an old survey, but his thing
Mhm.
said set limestone rock. So
Yeah.
What
just-
did his original
just
tie
don't
say?
count on him.
I think right, I think he said
It's
that he
right
said it.
here. It says set limestone rock.
Oh, I could bring that up too. On the big screen.
I think there was another one in section 15 or section 9. He did the same thing.
I mean, he did set some rocks, but and I don't know what this one's like, but sometimes the set ones are like, they're like really cut.
Right,
But he
the
said, but
ones
if
that
it's
are
like
5
an-
by 5.
Yeah, but if it's like an ancient stone with engravings on it, and he says that, I've just seen him say that before. So
Have you?
I'm just throwing that out with a
I've
grain
seen
of
him
salt.
say, use some unusual terms like sticking out of the ground and things like that, but this does not, I mean, if you kind of see what they've got pictures of here, is definitely a piece of limestone here next to the fence post is what it is. Not like the typical sandstones that you would find in our area.
Mhm.
And there wasn't any legal survey history either.
Right.
That's really nice, next to the fence post. As far as, people referring that to most likely the corner. So we could just kind of keep moving along, and I think I
Okay.
might do that as I
So that was
identified little
Richland.
pauses. The next one is a highlighted one. It's a Richland 11.
So
So
we'll just write it straight down.
this seems like this monument was set. Here.
So
Keep
keep
it
them in
in
there.
because I can't smell my eyes. It's good.
Says he found it.
I mean, I'm front page for that. Oh, found flushed. Okay, so this may be not one that you had set.
It's a rebar 14 feet south of the east-west running center line of Ratliff.
Right, and we just had it highlighted as a new monument. And that might be because the previous one. It's just,
Just because there's no
there's
record.
no record of it.
I don't have any questions based on what you, based on information. Personally.
Okay, well, we're gonna move to Richland I-13. Again, I want to make a note. I think
I-13
As-
sliding south.
as these are being
Yeah,
referenced in the
maybe.
survey, they're only referenced once, right? In the survey report, or that they share let me go back to where we had a section corner and they were sharing multiple sections, and we identified it was in section 16, right?
Oh, I think they do show up on multiple. If
Okay,
it's common to multiple surveys, they've got it listed.
You got listed
It
in
would be in
multiple.
section-
Right,
Yeah.
just like this one here, it, you know, we're saying that Ben had referenced it in his survey, in an administrative survey in 2013. And prior to that, Doug Curry had referenced that same rebar in 2003. So there's two other surveyors that was using that rebar for that corner.
My question
Is
was,
that not what you
no,
was
it,
getting at?
it was more like due to the fact that we have two surveys kind of broken down into each square mile, that within the report of the survey, those monuments are referenced on each one that's being called
It
out.
would be on
So if
both.
it's sharing the same section line,
Yes.
it's on,
Yeah,
and that's fine. And that just brings me to a condition at the end of this where I'll ask for a motion where we actually will reference the recorded survey on these documents.
Mhm.
We haven't gotten confirmation from you, that's fine.
Mhm.
So our goal is to get that today.
Okay.
And we will take the time and effort to put those in there. And since the whole project, that's kind of getting the cart in front of the horse, so this might be kind of our process, is that we just add them after the fact. And we do that internally on our side, because for you to be able to add the instrument number at the same time of creating the tie, you would have to have it recorded. So we
Right.
want to add that to this.
We can leave a
On our
blank space for you, like we see a lot of deeds, a lot of times, you know, that just says, you know, recorded an instrument number, and just leave the blank there for the instrument number, and then you can fill in that.
Exactly.
It could also be in the office use only section at the bottom. that's
Yeah,
all grayed
that's
out.
kind of what we
Could
were
be
thinking.
Reference to recorded survey.
There's plenty of ability to add it, but that's going to be a friendly amendment that we're permitted to add all of those
Okay.
instrument numbers to the records. Okay, so moving on to Richland I-13.
The final manual.
And we have some history on that. I'm gonna bring up the old one. The old one, we had a 5/8" rebar with a vinyl panel stamps. Grab the tie. It looks like you have the 5" diameter rebar with cap stamp vinyl panel found. This was done by Mr. Enright in 2008. So looks pretty good. Is there any questions?
For me,
Okay, then we will move right along to Richland I-15. Again, this is a monument that
Let me see what section did we drop down to now?
oh, I have a question just generally. Were there any monuments that were previously tied off that you didn't agree with what was previously tied off? Or will you remember them when we come to them?
Well, let me think, let me take, what was the deal with one up near the road? I'm just trying to think back. There was one in the road there that you went back and had the metal detector and ended up finding, but I feel like what we ended up finding was the position matched. The first monument that you found wasn't in.
That was up here in section
Right.
15. somewhere.
We don't have to skip to it. I just-
Good
popped
question.
in my
I'm
head.
going to say that probably 99% of them were accepted, and we just found other surveys that reference and was using them.
Yeah,
Is
So-
what we did.
if we come to one where you didn't,
Right,
Well,
because
but
we had a lot.
we'll
in-
talk about that more.
We had a lot in that area from prior surveys that we've done, we've conducted in that area. So, you know, a lot of that data we used, and then we just revisited to go back and make sure that we was hitting the same coordinates, kind of being that double occupation, you know, but with just one occupation since we've been there once before. So if it was something that we had accepted and held before, we just rolled with that and showed proof that we was agreeing with other surveys.
And I guess my question is, you made note of finding that in the survey as well, that if you weren't.
Now, if
holding
we would have referenced one of our surveys, there would have been something in the report about that monument as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that if you didn't hold the tied off monument, you probably would have mentioned that too. Right,
Yep,
so
we
we'll-
would have
so long
brought
as,
that
so
up.
I'll just keep reading, at least the theory of location. though.
And, okay, so which one was we at?
No, I was just gonna relay this to our technician about maybe you guys were looking at the template, kind of identify that in the agreement. If,
15,
they
section
find
21.
Yeah, 20 and
a
21.
monument that they just
So you
don't
got the
accept,
sections.
that it's kind of shown on the survey to a certain extent. We can discuss that later, discuss that with surveyors as we move the agreements out, but I think that will help clarify issues in the future. So my main point is that maybe we just kind of add some notations to the survey or in the report, and that would be for a future agreement. We're talking about how to refine the scope of work. And
Mhm.
so if you come upon, two monuments and you hold one, we would like to identify the second monument, even if you're not going to hold
Maybe a
it.
possible source of where it may have came from. If it's that.
Yeah, and
Right.
that just can help clarify, that potential confusion.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There you go.
you could,
Ambiguity is
that
where I was
seems
going,
like
but.
that could be part of the template form too, to
Mhm.
just in the witness monument ties section, make sure you include other monuments
Yeah,
that are nearby and confusing. That seems like a good idea to me too.
and quickly, I'm gonna just kind of show some of the value. This was done in 2008, which isn't relatively that long ago in surveying terms. But what we have established from this document to the one that was supplied is, we have a good understanding of the lay of the ground with the pictures that are included. Plus, we get a more extensive report on the history, the original government survey, and some subsequent surveys as well. We also kind of get what is really important, this geodetic control, but what you can't really see, I guess, here is that this was part of a perpetuation boundary survey of an entire square section. Also, since we did 4 contiguous sections, that if they, wanted to kind of evaluate some more evidence, that they're able to. So we're not just looking at one area of the county, we're looking at 4 square miles of the county to determine these positions. And it just really creates a better way for a surveyor to kind of render a determination of their position by being able to go out there and, cover such amounts of ground,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, just wanted to cover some of the value of the work from what was previously kind of the surveyor standards to where we are now, the surveyor's office standards to where we are now. Okay, moving right along, Richland I-17. Got a rebar with a mangled cap found. And here is the previous monument. Was there anything that jumped out as you were doing this?
Scroll down on that picture just a little bit, there, Charlie. So these ties were also found.
Yeah, we found all 3 of those figures.
Okay, nice.
I don't have questions.
Well, we'll keep on moving. This is a nice pace. We'll move to Richland K09. That is a railroad spike found. Move to the archive high.
Yeah, I like how you guys did the little diagrams. Never thought of doing that.
On each side.
Yeah, that's nice.
So it looks like you're in agreement to the monument, the railroad spike that is on record, that we have the Michael Shepherd survey referenced. Not hearing too many comments. Eric, if you have nothing you would like to add, which is absolutely fine, we'll move on to Richland K11. We have a brass plate and concrete found 2 inches below ground. And I'll bring up the archive record. Here's the archive record. This is a Stephen
This
D.
was-
Fargus.
This is the one with the Fargus.
We don't have a date.
Well, that's the one that didn't give off C.
In it, we have I can't see, a 2.5-inch brass disc flushed in intersection marking the center of section 16. Is that the same thing you found?
Yeah,
Okay,
this is the one that we had a little bit of problems with because it wasn't giving off a signal. The brass plate wasn't giving off a signal, so he was able to go back out and redig it up.
Was this
Based
one
off
of
the
the, like those standard brass pins that are upstairs in the attic?
I can't tell.
This was a
They're,
plate in concrete.
Yeah.
It's
it
like
might be
that.
helpful to grab one and,
Bring it down.
I
Do we
don't know,
have those
some-
just sitting up there
yeah, in the
Um,
top shelf of the cabinet.
in the cabinet?
Back of the attic, there's pins. The pin has a brass top cap to it and it's like this long and
It's
then it
copper,
goes
right?
in it
Mhm.
or something. Yeah, I don't
copper
know. And
with
then
a
it goes in a
brass
brass
Plate.
plate that has a hole in the center of it that
Mhm.
this spike is driven down in.
I've seen.
And they
it.
were set by this office. I don't know starting when, but Kevin set some
I've,
too.
I've set some with Kevin back.
Was
in
it
the day.
about this big? What you could
Yeah.
tell when you was looking down in that hole, something about like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the plate's
it
kind of
look-
like curved.
It
on the
almost
edges.
looks like
And
a
it has like
cap.
little teeth kind of on each corner to kind of hold it in
It
place.
sounds like we all know what we're talking about.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. that was.
Yeah.
So
Initially, I think that there was a magnet out there right, that was easily found, and then that's what we first thought it was, and then come back and dug it up and found out that it was a spike.
Maybe there was maybe another survey that was done that
Held
that held, there was a
that.
masonry nail or a mag spike or something, or a mag nail that was
Mhm.
off of.
well, it'd
And
be
it was
nice
that-
to
and
have the
But we
date
had
here.
referenced the PK nail, right? See, this was the, well, what the PK nail, we call it a mag nail that was,
That's
we
what it
used
looks
as a
like right there.
reference. Yep, that's it.
Well, I
The
know,
what?
I know
What?
Mr. Enright
Sorry, I'm missing.
had a,
It's tie
There's the nail. There's a masonry nail up there.
I think my sheet is just like cut off on this one, so I can't.
There's the plate,
Show Rachel.
and right up there's a little tiny nail.
Yes, put it this way, the masonry nail picked up more of a signal than what the plate
So
did.
there's the plate.
so you found the masonry? nail?
Oh,
and then there's a-
that's different. than
And
what
then
we're
there's a
talking
nail
about.
up there that I think maybe been held in a previous survey by someone else.
Because I know we used to reset those spikes whenever we found
So
old
that's not
masonry.
even really deep
masonry
enough to set it
nails,
nail
but
over, is it?
No, it wasn't.
I be certain if this is,
That's why we just made mention that it doesn't give off a
This-
signal.
This actually looks not like not like the breast thing we just sent him to fetch.
Yeah, so
In the picture, when you look at the full size one, it looks like a brass tablet,
Mhm.
we
It's
found-
definitely not.
like
we found
like a
multiple
really,
of those, too.
really fancy brass tablet with nice engraving on it and stuff,
I
right?
think there were,
Because I see engraving in your picture.
There's this, the top of this is blank.
This is definitely like
Yeah,
bigger.
that looks like it has a graving on it.
it wasn't that, yeah, it wasn't that.
And we typically, now what I was
I
gonna
think they
say
sound
is
too.
like, a lot of the times when we saw masonry nails, Mr. Enright liked to go replace them. And this
Mhm.
was a monument that we were using.
Can you see your picture? Your
Yeah,
picture
let's
again?
see that
That
video.
or a mag spike. But
What does that say? I see something on that.
Well, you can see it, what it's engraved here on this old tie sheet. It shows. That's what they had said.
It says section corner.
Yeah, because I see if you look right here on that, Rachel, up in this upper right-hand corner, right there, or up left
Yeah,
hand of
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you can see the CENT.
That's exactly what
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought I saw.
center
And then I
section,
see
that's
the
what it is.
SE from section also.
Right,
So it is like a round brass tablet. Set in concrete. That makes sense, more sense with set in concrete. Because I was just picturing one of those plates,
gotcha.
like that thing.
Right.
That makes more sense that it
I
wouldn't
did-
sound too, but why didn't they put a magnet under
I
it?
don't know.
I got you.
so.
You know,
wanna
I can't say that I've
clarify-
probably seen one like that then,
In Monroe County, like set by.
in the concrete. I mean, I've seen the rebars in the concrete, that are flush, but I can't say that I've seen the brass like this unless you get around the quarries, and that's a
But
substantial.
that's kind of what that looks like, isn't it? Like, it looks kind of like the quarry tablets. I'm not
Is
saying,
it as
It
big as a
almost looks
quarry
like, it
tablet?
almost looks like the top of the monuments that they set, like the aluminum monuments that you set in for the Forest Service. They're
Right,
Not that big around, they're kind of.
Yeah.
Comical on top.
it also looks like, when we surveyed Crane Boundary, we found all these concrete monuments that look like stone and they were old and they had brass tablets and it said US something.
Oh, I got
And
the
nobody
little-
could explain where they came from. We never found the source, but they were from the 40s.
I think there's some that we found out there on the sheet taking line. Those
Mhm.
monuments.
like the Corps of Engineers. Huh. Wonder where they would have got that at.
Who said it? This is-
Because that's in the road.
So is the masonry nail
This
not,
says.
I guess
set.
I want to clarify, did you find a masonry nail and then this, or?
We found the masonry now, but the mathematics didn't work.
Okay,
When we had the other surveys and was kind of comparing them, he went back and looked and was using the ties and found it.
and then found this.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And you was just digging blind, weren't you, in that situation?
We had a Theo.
Right. I
'Cause if
mean,
we
no,
didn't find it,
because
we
it
would've
wasn't the
said it.
signal is what I'm getting at.
If we didn't find anything there, we would have said something. of
This
that
seems,
position.
I mean, it seems like even though it doesn't sound, people will be able to find it moving forward because they got your coordinate and they know
But there's something
that
there.
there's, and you also said it's important to note that there's no sound.
Right.
So,
My, Tron just drive by and full pocket full of magnets. No, we should have thought.
Oh, we'll get there one day.
you could patch the hole and throw a magnet in with the asphalt.
Yeah.
Or even it's not deep enough for a full magnet, but you could probably put like a little one,
I wonder if you could
patch
maybe,
the hole, put a short one.
like where that engraving is, maybe drill. some kind to that brass instead of magnet on it.
There was just a way that you just throw a magnet in there or nail, just drive a nail in the side of it somehow, that they give off a signal. I don't know,
I'm gonna put a street riser in there.
I guess
Yeah, the people with the coordinates, people should be able to take it back on.
just when there's get some asphalt off Kerr Creek, that road down there, you can't go 5 feet without going.
So, wait,
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I was gonna just ask Donna to make a note about Richland K11 and just the fact that it doesn't have a magnetic hit and or magnetic signal, and we'll kind of put that on our list of how to kind of address these, but It does look like the same monument that's being shown on the screen here. So, and thanks for clarifying the masonry now. That's gonna get me around in that discussion. I would say that we'd like to move forward to Richland K-13. And I guess I guess that highlights a little bit of the ability to kind of really get out there and look at how things line up on the last monument.
That was one of those.
As was discussed, is there was a masonry nail out in this area that was found, but as the work was being conducted with a square, with a boundary perpetuation approach, Mr. Deckard, and not saying he wouldn't have came to the determination and found this location anyways, he was able to really kind of evaluate it. And as noted, came out and gave it a second look and did some extra work. And now we're holding this monument that is indicated by Mr. Vargas and Michael Friley in 1995. So again, I think this really kind of shows the value of kind of having a higher set of standards with our perpetuation here at the county, outside of our preservation approach. So I'll move right along to K-13. We have a brass spike found 1 inch below ground. Through our archived record. That was done in 2006.
And if you keep scrolling down, there's an older one that has a sketch on the last page.
Oh, okay, nice.
This looks like that was one of the plate,
Mhm.
the other kinds of plates.
Yes.
That were. Wonder if these are like the same plates, but they just had it engraved.
They might have stamped them themselves.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking maybe. So, all right. I'm gonna just kind of keep moving along. We're moving to Richland K-15, which was never previously perpetuated. And we have a magnet spike with washer stamped Deckard, set slightly below grade. Do you want to tell us how you kind of got to that?
Read this here first.
Okay. And I'll just kind of say on your theory, you said there's very few recent surveys were found referencing this corner.
Charles Green there on this one, didn't we?
So that
Yeah, we
again
had
shows the
Yes,
importance
and
of
used that line.
establishing
Those are
these
some bearings.
locations.
Same bearing. Yeah,
Same bearing, and he had calculated some point on the survey. codes.
I'm just trying to think where we is at in that section there.
It's right there, back, Hutcherson.
Hutchinson.
That sliding scale.
Right. So we basically established it by running a line between K-13 and K-17, which would give you your north-south bearing. And then we would have used a gram survey that would have lied in the northeast, or was it the southeast quarter? Was it right here? Was it the north line of that Hutchinson that he was projected?
It was over here. No, it was in here.
Right. It was in the southeast quarter.
Yeah.
Of 21, and we projected it out to that quarter section line. So we had his survey going east and west, establishing the north line of the southeast quarter there, and we projected it out to the quarter section line.
I'm just taking a picture of all of the surveys and files that we have in front of us. Don't know if I'll bring it up on the Zoom, but
Because I believe we also had a survey there, north south, but that was Bledsoe, correct? That they was agreeing with the Graham survey,
Section 10.
21.
and there wasn't anything else that you found out there that had you kind of scratching your head or anything?
No, I mean, we was actually working on a survey there in this area at the time. So, you know, we was already kind of cued in on this little area right here.
Makes sense. I'll indicate that Mr. Boardman sent an email saying he will not be able to make today's meeting.
And that is agreeing with,
Well, I think that method makes perfect sense for setting this intersection. It looks like it's not even all that far off from where it would have been from just a straight up intersection.
Intersection.
Yeah.
right.
I don't have any questions about what you did.
you set an offset to it.
So here was the survey that we had, and he lacked detail out here to the section. But we had this alignment here, and so we just went ahead and projected it on it to the actual north-south running quarter.
Yeah.
And established it there, that way that it's staying in harmony with the surveys in the area.
Seems great.
And what year was that performed by
2003.
Mr. Graham? 2003. Okay.
He has it referenced in the report too.
Did you find that survey using the survey utility? A reference from the auditor's record, which we were able to host.
Did you need to see a copy of it again? Because it.
No, I was just kind of curious of,
We may have, but we
you
didn't,
may have.
we had just done
Okay.
a retracement on part of that trend.
This
on
one
that
here, when we would have derived this from, this may have been some auditor stuff by the looks of it.
And we-
I'm seeing that,
And we
The scribbling
digitized that
up
in the
here.
surveyor's office.
and we would have probably utilized what you had in the surveyor's office there from the auditor
Yeah,
to work
okay.
off of.
That's great. I just love
Yeah.
seeing kind of the value in making that
Oh, that
resource.
makes it nice. I mean, I spent many hours up in Susan Johnson's office digging through those auditors' files. There's a wealth of information there, and that's important, you know, because even though that the recorder's office had a lot of surveys already recorded, there was a lot that was not in the recorder's office that was just only found in the auditor's office. They may have not come to fruition, but if they did, was able to find deep descriptions that would match up to those surveys, and there's your connection.
Right. And our next hope is helping planning move forward with some of their archiving
We got
initiatives.
it from the auditor.
We'll move right on to Richland case 17. It's a Magnell found. I'm gonna go to the archive record. We have a Magnell. That was done in 2006, referencing another, or not another one, referencing a Doug Curry, 2003 on our archive record. Looks like you hold that same monument.
Mhm.
And found some of the witnesses. Obviously, you were accepting that position. Hearing nothing, I'm going to move to Richland M09. That was a railroad spike found. Bring the archived record up. That was done by Mr. Enright in 2005. railroad spike found in brass plate 2 inches below ground. Was this in a brass spike still? Or
It's a railroad spike in a brass plate, is what we're calling it here.
you did call it railroad spike in flat brass plate. You did call that here on
Mhm.
MO9?
You don't see it in the monument description, but I see it in the theory. It says,
It just says,
Oh, wait.
under the monument found was a railroad spike, but then you're right, in theory, it says that it was a railroad spike was found.
wait, does it show
Location of a railroad spike in
This
brass
railroad
plate
spike.
reference in 2005.
this railroad spike was in harmony with the location of the railroad spike in brass plate? So it never really says this railroad spike was in a brass plate, does it? I might be.
Which one is this?
And this is MO9.
I- I
It says
don't-
railroad spike 4 inches down, so we didn't verify whether there's a brass plate around it
But you did verify that it was the same monument by
by the ties.
checking it with ties and other surveys. Which I fully understand because it's 4 inches down, so it's hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
kind of got to the top of it, found it.
Found spike,
That
shot
brass-
it,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Um, The fact that you found the PK nails and the X on a concrete post, and they were all in line with the Edmund Farkas monument record from 1984, and then the Kevin Enright, looks like you found the limestone posts, Magnell and power pole, mag and sign on post.
And a BRG or BT cap. So like all the ties, I mean, I feel, I'm not worried about whether the brass plate.
And I-
Whether the brass plate is there or not seems pretty
That- that's-
immaterial.
I can't see it not being there. No, that's the big
It's
thing. If
probably
it
there.
wasn't there, if it
Probably
wasn't
there,
there, that's
just
why. I
saying,
want-
but-
So if I compare, what I'm understanding is that you found the railroad spike, and there's a possibility that that plate could just be a little more under the surface, right?
Probably,
Okay,
probably.
Maybe about
I'm
2002.
okay.
So
Yeah,
100%
might have been
fine.
a high traffic
Yeah.
day, no. Or maybe the jackhammer was not giving us
It's
a good
tough out
stellar
there.
performance that day.
Well,
If you would have went out there today, you might have been able just to like cut right through that with the butter knife.
Well, I don't know, it's sometimes we've got one of these Milwaukee drill hammers, it's a pretty beefy unit. But sometimes that thing will hammer really well. Sometimes it's like you gotta ease into it before it starts
that's
jackhammering.
how ours is too. It makes us so mad. We have the same one, I think, and so does the county.
Does yours do
It's
that
like,
too?
our
Like it
theory is
won't
it has
bite.
to warm up.
Yeah.
And we keep saying, like, we need to just keep it inside at night, bring it in like with the other equipment, so it stays warm. Is it because it's
No, ours
cold?
is
I
inside.
mean,
But what we find works is, you just kind of tap on that end to get the chisel drove up in there and then just ease into the trigger.
what a piece of junk.
No
I
doubt.
love it, but
When it works, man, it's bad.
yeah, it's really annoying.
But otherwise, it's a 30-pound paperweight out there.
Always like operating that jackhammer for some reason.
Not me, it gives me a shoulder ache.
That and a
I
brush
can't
axe.
handle it.
For some reason, I just feel like
It's when,
Fun out there.
have you tried putting something in the ground with the drill bit? I mean, if that drill bit hangs up, that thing will twist you in a knot.
our first experience of, well, no, that was the rebar that we were almost gonna cut off, and then someone came with the jackhammer and helped us finish it.
Yeah, we were missing the right tool.
Yeah, and
Whatever,
then
I
we
don't
went and
remember
got
what it
that.
was.
Do you have the attachment that drives the rebar, or that sets over the
The
rebar and drives it
grounding
down?
rod driver, yeah.
You've got that? Does that work good?
We know
No.
how to use it.
We just use a drill bit as a pilot,
Yeah,
a big bit, and then it was pretty decent down there. The porthole didn't it? I mean, that was hard ground.
That thing will like damage your taps or the rebar top. I don't like it. It just kind of hammers in.
Well, if it's just a bare rebar, I don't think
Then-
it's damaging it any more than beating on it when it's in a hard surface. but
Flailing around this
It's-
head up, it's the size of a quarter.
It just doesn't seem like it, the way that thing fails to hammer down sometimes,
Uh-huh.
it seems like it does that with the,
With the rebar
with that
attachment.
grounding rod attachment. And so you're just standing there and it's not really moving. You know, I don't know.
And so you carried 30 pounds down that you should have just stuck it to a 1/2 pound hammer.
We don't get it out anymore,
Really?
that grounding rod thing.
Oh.
We get
gotcha.
the other thing. Oh, yeah.
But we'll just try using a big masonry bit. with
Yeah.
it, And you'll find that that works really well to just pilot the hole for the rebar, and then the rebar goes down a lot better, even in gravel.
So not a super long bit. You have to drill the whole pole out.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's,
So you have
this
a
bit, this
2.5
bit,
foot bit.
this bit is every bit of 2 foot long. Yeah.
Is it 5/8 inch or?
Yep, 5/8 inch bit, and it works nice. And
All right, we'll move to Richland M11 and we have a mag nail found in Thomas Road. Better preserve the location of this corner. The mag nail was replaced with a mag spike with a washer stamp decker. Nice. I will move to the archived monument. Here we go. Here's a older one.
we found all 3 ties on that one as well.
You found all 3 ties, okay.
Mhm.
Great. And this is, I like looking at this one. This is before I think I came to the office and had an involvement with the tie sheets and making them. So it's an older one. Yeah, Mr. Enright's first administration as county surveyor.
What year was that?
It was that like 97 to 2001, I believe. And then Vic Fargus came in after that, and then Mr. Enright came in after that one. And then he
Was that
stayed-
That was his first.
Yeah, this was his first kind of, the last year, it seems like, with the date of the book. I can't see what that date says right there.
Says 11/02/2000, field book 2001, page 52.
Yeah. and I can't-
Oh, May 25th, 2000 was the field work. or the-
Okay. That
uh,
came in 2005. I'm hearing nothing, so I'm just gonna move on to M13, which is highlighted as no archived information, so. We have railroad spike found. Roads, pretty close to the center line of the road.
So what surveys we got here?
Or previous times. So on your theory, this railroad spike was found to agree with the other monuments in the area and to be commonly accepted by surveys nearby. This railroad spike was accepted and held as said corner.
Also, the other evidence is pretty good for it, if you read that.
Oh, the other evidence, the north-south running center line of Thomas Road, slightly east of corner, the north-south running fence line west of corner, the east-west running tree line east of corner. So it looks like there's a lot of evidence on the ground out there that you identified and weighed into your determination. And that means most of the property owners probably weigh that on the ground evidence slightly the same.
Did you guys have a theory about the origin of the
I don't think we did. We can look into the surveys here.
It's fine if, you probably would have
We
put
can-
it
we
if
can
you.
double check.
had it at the end.
In 13 would be, look in 16, Jackson. Section 16. Looking for the southeast of 16. Northwest, that's the senior section. The southeast. We've got a Phil Tap survey here that he had held and accepted the railroad spike. He doesn't tell what the origin of it is either. But it was referenced in his survey. We have anything else that ties us to that spike?
No, I don't think we had a lot on that one.
It seems like it's really good with possession. It
Let's see
fits
any more.
well with the, just like looking at the bearings and
This
distances
is,
on the
this
plats,
is
it
the
looks
survey,
good
the
too.
survey that he's showing that the spike down there. You see his section line is dashed going east and west going through this.
Mhm.
What corner are you on, or what section are you in now, Jackson? There's probably nothing else in 16.
I don't want to hold this up with that question.
Okay.
I would move it along. I have the video on pause. I was gonna bring up one of those surveys. But I'm not gonna pull this up.
Jason, let's see it. So we got the-
What section is 21, 22, so all of them, okay. I just, again, since, we're looking at this monument, and we haven't had a record on there, and I just wanted to kind of highlight again, with the visual of the actual survey itself, of how we're doing a perpetuation survey of that entire square mile here. And then you have kind of a lot of calls and a lot of other additional information that is recorded in the recorder's office that are outside of these tie sheets. So again, we're able to enter into these agreements with professional surveyors to do these perpetuation service agreements of a square mile versus just coming in and asking them to locate this point, which allows them to do, I think, more extensive work. And that's, I think, necessary whenever we're determining a location that has not been perpetuated in prior years. So again, my main point is just to kind of highlight the amount of work that is being conducted to achieve the new standards that we have in this office with moving these service agreements forward. So this is kind of for the benefit of the public, and unfortunately just Michelle today, but they link this now online. So think maybe more than one or two people will watch it versus
I'm
me
gonna
and
watch it
Jason
20
again.
times.
I believe that. So we'll
Maybe if
move,
something exciting happens.
I don't think anything too exciting. So we'll move to Richland N15. And
Let's see what section, so we should be going to 16.
we have railroad spike found. I'll go to the archive record. N15, we have the railroad spike referenced as well. Mr. Enright did that in 1997. Looks like you were able to find a PK, wow, found a lot of PK nails, nice. That's hard to do in trees.
Wait, what? No. They didn't find any of the ties from 1997, did you? Am I misreading that?
No, Mr. Enright from.
That's the history.
That's the,
Yeah, that's the historical ties.
Mhm.
it says Waterford's
So they're not
Village
saying they
section.
found those PKs.
Railroad spike was found. That's similar.
I wasn't reading it to say that you didn't find the ties. Because it doesn't list them as other evidence. Oh, you found the hickory tree. Is that right? Actually, no.
Are you at the tie sheet there now?
Yes.
Yeah, so you found the second tie, the PK, but not the PK part of it, but just the tree part.
Hickory trees.
Yeah, I was getting
Yeah.
confused with this, like I was looking for that part down here. And then, so I thought he didn't find it. Just, that was my. let me look at that spot.
So you're referring to the hickory tree, the 14-inch, the PK and the 14-inch hickory that was referenced by Kevin. We later found just the tree, and I'm sure that the PK nail was
Swallowed
yeah
by the tree.
by the tree.
Mhm.
For a minute there, I think.
This one here,
That's where I was.
this is the one that I
stopping,
was out there on.
Yeah, I don't
that
think
day,
they found
wasn't
three
it?
PKs.
Some of them were tried to,
from
Right,
1997.
this
we
one,
tried to
have to
hack
get on
out
a
some
little
of them.
ladder.
this one here, yeah,
What'd you say? Sorry.
We tried to
tried to-
hack out some of them. We
Oh.
got a signal in the tree, we'd take it
Yeah.
and try to
right.
get down to at least where the flagging is kind of. poking
Yeah,
out, but-
sometimes I like to set anyone over that if I can, but gosh, it's hard to ever find anything.
And that's what we're doing now is.
The PKs
if
just
we
don't
get a
pick up
hit,
that
we
well.
reference
It's
it.
just a faint little whip, is all you'll get.
And if there's any fencing in the tree or anything,
Then
You don't have
yeah,
any
you're
help.
done.
yeah.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, it's gonna pull that signal. Is there any additional questions on Richland N15? If not, we're a little over halfway through. We're an hour into the meeting. I'll move to Richland N17.
You
So
have your meeting at 5:30, right?
the plan commission meeting was canceled
Oh, okay. So
due to
you,
lack of in-person forum. So
are you trying to get actually through all these today then?
I think we can. I was wondering if maybe we had the ability. This is our first large format of kind of bringing these corners to be certified. So the goal is to kind of refine this moving forward. So suggestions and everything is great. If you like kind of this way of kind of running down them, that's awesome. In the future, if you have recommendations, please let me know. Definitely want to make your time as efficient and useful as possible. So
I think when I do mine, I'm gonna wanna talk about them in out of order probably,
that's fine.
because it'll be like, we did this one based on that one, or whatever, and it makes sense to talk about.
Okay.
Because I didn't have very many prior ones, so there's more having to explain
Explain
what,
to what's going
yeah.
on. Right.
right,
Right.
so that might make it hard to jumping around, but
Okay.
And if, I don't know when you plan on turning it in, have you already turned it in,
I
Rachel?
turned it in.
I got you.
And we just got it recorded.
Just got it recorded. Okay. I was just gonna say, if we can
Right.
just get it to where you've got less time between the time you turn them in to the time we actually review them, you know,
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
things fresh in your mind instead
That
of.
would be nice, but I turned it in March 31st.
Right,
So-
you're several months into it.
I'll
now as
double
well.
check that, but we're in
Okay.
the process of having that recorded. And Donna, have we issued payment for that? I'll double check it, make sure everything's on the process.
I mean, I turned it in on March 31st and then officially turned it in like a month ago because I was waiting on.
No, you told me it was pending or hold off on that Rachel wanted to hold off on that.
Okay, so yeah, so we're in the process and it, same way that we did with this service agreement is we went and had it recorded and after we had. No,
You didn't want to pay till it was recorded and I didn't want to record it till I heard back from Corey. So I turned it in on March 31st and didn't change anything since then and haven't looked at it since then,
Gotcha.
but didn't give them approval to record it until about a month ago.
and I'm pretty sure we did the same with yours. We had it recorded, then they cut you a check, so.
Mhm.
But I'm glad to know the check's not in the way. 'Cause I'm looking-
Recorder's having a hard time making the pictures look good in the scan, so we provided a multi-page TIFF on the zip drive. And I'm not sure if he pushed it through yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected them to worry about that.
Okay, well,
The
we'll.
pictures, because you all will put it on the Internet Archive, right? So,
Mhm. We'll give you an update. But
okay, that's
again,
enough for
like I
me.
said, I'm amenable to refining the presentation and the way that we go about looking at 25 corners in one meeting.
Right.
So just let me know if you have any suggestions in the near future. With that said, we move to Richland M17. It was a brass spike found. I'll bring up the previous record, the archived record. It was done in 1999. We had a replaced old masonry nail with a 9-inch brass spike with plate. So this is that plate I think that Jason had brought down. And that's kind of what I was indicating, that we attempted to replace a lot of old masonry nails in the road if that's what we found with these brass spikes. So if you ever see a survey referencing the nail and you find a brass spike in its place, that's probably due to it being reset. So, with that said, so you found Magnell and power pole and Magnell and a power pole. So
and then maybe only one of those was used for a witness. Because the distance is way different on the second one. Unless I'm mixing it up. For letter C. I
the
think it's-
22 with the
I find it's pretty common to find additional already there ties, witnesses, from other route surveys or whatever. So maybe that's what that other Magnell found was.
Looks like B is probably the common tie here.
Yeah, so well, it says you guys found 2 of the ties, but maybe only used one of them. Because if you,
mag
well,
found in
you
I
can,
see- I
you
see
can
what you're
see it
looking at
there
there.
on his,
Yeah.
right there,
Yeah, same bearing,
same bearing, but
same bearing, but
20.
yep, 20 feet different.
Wish I had that field book page right there. me just,
42 feet is quite a ways.
yeah, let me just kind of scroll to a booking page real quick.
So you guys might not remember this, but what I was saying was that maybe you had found those ties but didn't use it because this other power pole was closer or whatever. That's the other one. Or maybe only
This
one of them
here
is
is off of
really,
Thomas Road. Is this the one next to the driveway that was parked in? Go to the GIS, Tron, you might be able to kind of see them.
This one's. Oh, this is your
There it is,
notes.
there, it says 22.75 feet southwest. That's, isn't that it? Southwest 22 degrees.
yeah,
And that one says it was, that he measured 22 point.
Well, this is your notes. What I was hoping is to find was the previous notes, but we don't have it scanned. Actually, currently we have
Yeah, there
our
it is, 22.
part-time scanning in fill book pages on their downtime, so I haven't really gotten to this fill book and page yet. I was curious if it was maybe a scrivener's error on the tie sheet
Well,
itself.
you could probably figure that out, Tron, if you go to the GIS and you could see that there was a fence intersection there. If that fence is still there, you might be able to measure from the center line of the road over, tell whether it's 20 feet off or not.
It's probably just a different pole. Or a different, or a mistake on the 97 tie sheet would be my guess.
It very, I mean, if you look at it, it matches up kind of nice.
The
The
only reason I
distance
was
is
bringing it
double.
up is because it says that two of the ties were
Right,
found, and I was like, well, is that,
we got a 42, yeah, I didn't see it.
but personally, I sometimes find ties and then just don't use them.
Well-
I find old ties and don't like them, so I would mention I used it, but then not have a tie to it, you know?
Right,
So-
well, I've even been out there before and there's not been a tie sheet and I find tops.
Oh, yeah, from like route surveys and,
Mhm. Well, we even found Monroe County signs out there before, and I mean, it's been a long time ago, couldn't tell you where it was at, but I remember seeing survey signs and ties, but never had anything, officially documented. Maybe it was something that was work in progress at the time.
yeah, I had one on the project I did where there was a sign I wasn't expecting, and it turns out there was a pending record. I couldn't find it, and the Tron was in the office, and he texted it to me.
That railroad spec we talked about earlier that we didn't have any surveys referencing it. Right by that one,
Yeah.
there was a sign on a fence post.
Was there?
I have
But it was
this
pending.
So that's
right here,
that-
so
I think
it
that's
looks
it, right?
like it's, yeah, in between here, right? Here's our, well, this is obviously not the right
Okay,
location.
so if that was the power pole, you can see the bottom of the power pole.
Yeah, right. And then it looks like you have both these little drive kind of in your photo, so.
And if you was to measure south westerly.
So. Got your 28 there. 26 there. And 42 feet would be kind of all the way around there. So Yeah, unless there's something put there.
Yeah,
and
40 some feet is pretty big radius compared to.
I'll see this. 2,000. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like that interchange changed too much, just with the aerial overview. I can't believe that using GIS. The measurement tool. I feel
Pretty
I feel like I'm
heavy.
doing, I feel like
Surveyor
I'm
meeting.
in a surveyor meeting. I feel like I'm doing something
And
wrong.
those aerial photos and measuring tools are good for something.
All right.
You can tell at 20 feet, right?
Well, and I really like this side panel, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with the side panel, but you could do this, and then you could kind of throw on two aerials,
Right.
and then you can kind of just go
Slide.
back and forth. Now, obviously, there's various differences just by the projection, but I mean, it gives you a good idea if that road has been changed or moved, and I find that a very, very nice tool. So if you're not familiar with that swipe tool, it's pretty easy. You just click on the swipe tool up here and you can kind of drop down your aerials, but you just have to make sure you have at least two of the aerials turned on. So I'm not hearing too many more questions.
I don't
We'll
think
make
we're gonna
a,
make it
Donna, if
through
you'd
all
like
of
to
these
make a
tonight.
note
Yeah.
to check on Richland M17 field book. I'm gonna double check that field book.
Do you guys, I mean,
We're,
do you want to just stop since we made it to the end of the ends or?
That
I
would
mean,
be a good,
it's
that would be a good
only-
stopping point for me.
5:30. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I'm just bringing it up because the meeting says now that it's 4 to 5:30, so. Just in case there's some other commitment.
Does anyone have commitments or anything like that? I feel like we're making
Put you
good
on the
pace
spot.
and we could
Well,
could we
yeah,
push to 5:30.
we'll go
5:45?
to 5:30. Let's go another 10 more minutes and then we're going.
Well,
I promised my son that I would hook up with him after I drop Jackson off, so.
Okay,
And he and I was gonna run out and do a few things, but like I said, I just don't wanna
well, I mean,
stay here till 6.
well, let me just
6:30.
kind of keep moving. I think,
I mean, we can get through them all if we just do them to ourselves. I can just talk about Q11 and I can read these.
that's kind of where I was thinking.
Um,
Q11, go to Q11.
Let's start reading Q11. Oh, okay, wait, but 009 is the one that you guys didn't accept, it looks like, so we'll probably need to,
Which one was this?
009,
09,
009,
009.
Which is the next one.
which is the next one, yeah, and it says that the old ties show a railroad spike, which was found but not accepted. Bynum Faneuil rebar was found, that was accepted. I suppose, reading your theory, you say that the rebar agreed with the survey by Michael Mundy from 1991, which is referenced in the tie sheet as
Yeah.
going with the railroad spike. So would your thinking be that maybe the railroad spike was not what was held on all these other surveys listed on this tie
Right,
sheet? And it was just
exactly.
because there's a bunch listed here.
Yep, we compared it to the Arrowhead and the Deer Run subdivisions and the Michael Mundy, and we think that the tie for the railroad spike was maybe tied off on the wrong monument.
So that it
So-
wasn't what was on all these other surveys. Yeah.
Right, it was not matching what was on those other surveys, and that was right there near the fire station, correct? This is their town of Ellisville. That's the one I'm thinking of here, right there in that wonky curve.
So you didn't find any record of people using, or did you find record of people using the railroad spike too? Or did you find pretty much across the board people were using the?
Go with section 10.
Phil had a- I
Rebar.
remember Phil
Section
had a
50.
survey where he
Section-
referenced both of them, but didn't specifically
Go
call one or the
to,
other.
I want to say section 15 may have most data. Is 09.
So on this one, Tron, I would say like, I'm reading his theory and
So north quarter
that they were
15,
aware of
south quarter
those
10.
surveys and aware of the railroad spike and chose not to hold it. Determined that it's incorrect. I feel comfortable throwing that out. And I'm only sort of bringing it up because I think it's one that we wanted to talk
It's
about,
north
right?
quarter of 15,
No,
south
yes.
quarter of 10.
So I'm just telling you, I'm satisfied, so you should ask whatever question.
Well, I think the real question is just the subsequent surveys that could have possibly been performed off of that, because I have seen other monuments be held that we were referencing on a survey, and we actually went to the wrong monument. And I feel like that could potentially be what's occurring here, but
Yeah, it sounds like it. Is this railroad spike that you have shown 15.15 feet away, the one that was incorrectly tied off previously?
This was 09.
15.
That's the.
Oh, yeah, it looks like it was because I see where you've got it painted in the road. And then you have it circled off the road. Or-
This was one of the surveys.
See how you have it highlighted there and you
Yeah.
labeled it? So
Yeah,
that looks like 15 feet to me.
yeah.
Yeah, so, right, so here's a little better picture of it, Rachel. It gets you, it's just in, the binder pane was just inside the.
Yeah, and this would be the railroad spike
That's right,
that was tied off.
that's what was
Yeah.
done.
so when you were looking at the Potter and the tap,
I think she might have the tab.
Sorry, I'm still
the
trying to
Monday
understand this.
survey, you feel like they were all holding that 5/8 rebar.
Looks like tap definitely held the rebar. He showed it.
Maybe if you follow his bearing down, that's what.
What we had done is we voted in those subdivisions. And we'd also had some ties to some of those owners in a subdivision, was able to rotate them on and start kind of figuring out which one was which here.
Okay. So you use the existing
That's,
subdivisions to
that would
kind
have
of,
been the Deer Run and
help
the
determine
Arrowhead, yeah. That's all you got in that section.
we'll just,
Section 10 maybe.
this one right here is interesting. It's calling two spots.
Two spots, right?
And
Well, maybe the other one was used from another direction or something.
what's just the date here? 2000, is that 17?
Although you guys were actually, I know you were just surveying the
And this was done in 2006, so that means,
15.
and obviously the lines running with this, this boundary survey for Mr. Tap to the rebar, and he indicates the railroad spike to the west, northwest, it looks like. And this wouldn't be the same tap here, right? But
Well, he called out that Monday survey, Eric did in his theory, saying it was the location matched the rebar, so that's why I think that whole list of surveys that Kevin has isn't necessarily, he didn't have the right monument necessarily.
That's kind of the difference, when Kevin was doing these, during that time, he would go out and he'd find what he thought was there, but he didn't have a means of being able to go and tie this onto other surveys in that area. or tie in onto subdivisions like what we did in this case to kind of analyze that.
And this is my
So there's no
first,
way to check. it.
first year at the
Typos,
office,
I
and
remember checking the distance of that. 'cause we
I
were
could
tied
have
on the end
found
down
some
here,
of these surveys and they just
And his
reference the
distance
section
checked,
corner
or
and may
his
not
distance checked from
overlooked
here.
the monument.
We tied on
um,
his survey,
Kind of with my,
and he called
just
out a
being
cross
new to
tie
the
post.
office.
That
but
would make
his
perfect
location
sense.
And
matched
well,
with
I
that
know I
email.
did it several
Right.
times where
That's
I'm
where
like,
we
here's a
got the
list of
numbers.
surveys,
Right.
calling a survey, a section corner, but not necessarily
Yeah,
looking at each monument and doing what we do now with kind of that timeline.
This was
yeah,
that
it's too
Monday.
much to learn in the first year.
Right,
It's
so
just what's important.
if, did you hear that? That this was, I drew this tie sheet
Oh,
and
He called out a cross tie post up
I
there.
think I probably did a
We
bulk
tied
of
onto
finding
that
these
survey and
surveys
found
and
it.
there's a good chance that
Whenever you use that geometry, it was mentioned.
as I
that
saw
we-
that they just referenced
So
that
maybe-
section corner, I
maybe
might
Ren
not
and
have
Daniel
been seeing
set
if they
the
were
rebar where the
associating the
cross tie
regular
post
spike
was.
on each survey. And
Right.
sometimes those surveys just would indicate the section corner was there, not actually call a monument. So,
And they do sort of change gradually too.
and then
Railroad spike, Magnum,
As-
PK.
as we see with that other TAP survey that dates after this, he's obviously not holding that position. So, this, I would be, it makes sense to kind of reevaluate that, hold the more, what's actually currently being held on the ground in today's.
right,
work.
because you got, like you said, you got Phil, then you have Doug, Curry, Nathaniel, that's holding this rebar. And this rebar is matching other surveys in the area, which, as Jackson just pointed out, it used to be a cross tie post in that vicinity, but you could tell that it's a mowed lawn now. There is no cross tie post there. The only thing that's there is a house that's in close proximity to it.
Well, I'd be inclined to, accept that. When we get to a motion.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion.
Did you
Is
look
there a
at
study when you-
Q11
No,
or,
because I was looking at
did we-
09.
09. I didn't make it
If
past
we jump to
09.
Q11, just because that's a new one, I would, if, unless there's any other monument you feel like you couldn't hold that was previously tied, I would be looking for a favorable motion for the batch of corners that we have listed for certification today.
Was Q09.
Well, maybe we can just,
And that would be dependent if you would want to make a
Just
motion.
14,
well,
15.
I would just want to like at least read them really fast. So I'll read as fast as I can.
Sure.
I'm good with 11.
And, I don't know how we would second with our survey that Andy, if Mr. Decker was going to recuse himself, so.
Well, we don't have to,
Yeah, we would, right? It would just be a motion.
it wouldn't be a second.
And here's, this is the survey you're gonna see. We said the rebar is set here, and right here, he has scanned a dormant survey on it.
I think I might have questions about those.
Right, and we kind of have that big right.
That's why I have questions.
I guess due to you wanting to recuse yourself, and I think us making a motion, then having that second, and Mr. Boardman unable to attend, you could just table the rest of the corners and do a special meeting. It
I
would be
don't see
nice
why
to-
Eric can't second a motion, though he's not voting on it. It's just a second.
You could and then still recuse yourself. I was gonna
make a motion for the ones that we've reviewed, because it wouldn't make sense for Todd to vote on the ones that he
right,
wasn't here for.
right. We would then have to look at that.
Um,
What I'm gonna do is just bring up our ordinance where it shows kind of the quorum.
Oh, we had a meeting and I certified stuff for myself one time before.
Well,
Have you ever certified stuff by yourself
Yes.
Every day.
in here?
No, not in here.
you have,
He has
but
to.
not under my administration, but prior through
Oh.
Kevin's administration, you'd be a lone board member
Right.
in that.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think that I have. But maybe not under Trump. I feel like there was a time or two that I had sat in here and was the only one that showed up. But
I remember being in the meetings. I don't remember if it was digital or. It probably must have been, because I don't think we had any meetings after we left that weren't digital.
Right here, so rule 5, one member of the board shall consist of a quorum. So we're okay. This is kind of our rules that's been adopted. They've been updated, but the only updated is the discussion of creating the chair. So we could adopt the electronic meeting, but outside of that, we only added additional language, so that is still in place. And I'm not going to spend too much time to find the updated document, but I feel comfortable with entertaining a motion for Ms. Ozer without a second, and then calling for approval of those corners as well.
Okay.
If that's the way the board wants to move, I leave it upon them.
Would throw out there that we could probably get through these corners and do a first review of the survey that I submitted in one meeting,
Oh,
You know,
okay,
like-
that makes
like
sense
last time.
to be efficient.
Yeah,
Okay,
so, although we also have the corners that we didn't finish the last meeting.
Shuffled up.
well, that brings
So
up a nuances
that
that we don't
becomes-
want to, because every time we couldn't really, I think, get behind a corner, we tabled it. So we probably have a lot of corners that have been tabled indefinitely.
But we tabled, the last meeting, we tabled corners, not because they needed to be tabled.
Due to the time.
We tabled them because of time and some
Mhm.
little small like typos and stuff. So those,
We'll probably bring those back to you late.
It would stink to
late.
have those like this here forever.
No, they're not. They'll be on the first ones when we're outside of these agreements. So,
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion.
yes,
Okay.
please.
I would like to make a motion to certify corners Richland I-09, I-11, I-13, I-15, I-17, Richland K-09, K-11, K-13, K-15, K-17, Richland M-09, M-11, M-13, M-15, M-17, and Richland O-09.
Okay, we have a motion. I'm going to go ahead and call the roll. As stated, Mr. Decker's going to recuse himself, but I will still call the roll. Mr. Decker?
Here.
You just say recuse.
Recuse, yep.
Okay. Rachel Ozer?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Certification passes, and I will just scroll back up to the agenda, and there is a public comment. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak? Oh. There we go. I'm paused it. There we go. Is anyone from the public wish to speak?
We have no attendees.
Thank you. I was trying to look for my tools.
That's
Um,
me.
All right, and outside of staff, Donna, we'll move to the next meeting. We'll reach out to you. Donna, do you want to tell the tentative date that we have as far as reservation?
August
Reserving?
the 23rd.
August the 23rd is what we have tentatively as reserved with this room. So if that doesn't work, give us some notice and we'll see what availability there is to reserve the room and try to make it work so we can have a quorum. Outside of that, call for adjournment.
Can I throw something out there for the meeting dates?
Oh, yeah.
Just for my personal schedule,
Mhm.
Thursday would be better. That
Thursday?
same week.
Just Thursdays in general or just
No,
that week?
that week, because we have a Hoosier Hills chapter meeting at 6 in Bedford, so it would be a way to kind of do this and then go to that.
Is that in conflict with any plat committee meeting?
So that would be Thursday. 5th. As of now, that's not.
If it's not a plat committee meeting, then I can do it.
Okay, sounds good.
So Thursday, the what?
The 25th, I'm just saying that's my preference, so
Okay.
if that works
we can-
just as well for
Because the
everyone.
23rd is our Hoosier Hills
No,
chapter.
because the 25th is,
The 25th is,
yeah, maybe that won't work, I guess. We have to actually leave here.
well, I
For
mean,
me, it's just trips
that's
to
that-
town
that-
and
that's
trying to bundle.
right. Well, that's fine. So the 25th would work if we have to leave here about 5:30 and it's Bedford.
Mhm.
That'd work.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd
We
be
have,
ni-
we
that
have
would be
been
ni-
leaving at 5:30.
That would be nice to do that.
We'll send out emails, kind of seeing how that works with everybody and then kind of follow up. And
Okay.
so,
The 23rd is fine too.
Sorry to cut it short, guys. We gotta-
no
gotta
worries.
roll. Which one was it that you probably had the most questions about? So I can,
Oh, well, I didn't, I was a little too distracted to really
was it just
focus,
Q
read.
11?
But O11, if you look at the, oh no, that's O13. Wow. O13.
013?
I don't even know if I have questions, but this old tie sheet
Mm-hmm.
has this big red box on it that says, watch out, we think this is wrong.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
And I didn't read it. I was reading too fast. I just didn't have the comprehension to know how it related.
Gotcha.
And I just felt like, well, I can't, I was trying to just read them fast and say I could certify them, but like, oh, I don't know what this
No.
one is.
Well,
so-
I mean, I'd rather you take time to go through it and we can work through it and go through the surveys while we've got the files here. And then it's just timing, you know, we're kind of out of time on that one, but
Oh,
hey, I appreciate
I
it.
think it was a success. Again, we might break these down.
Well, we got a lot accomplished. I, like I said,
Well, let me officially call the meeting to adjournment. So we are officially adjourned. Thank you for your time. Michelle, thank you for hosting and you feel free to go ahead and shut it down.
Can I keep?
All
this?
right, you have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
Yes.
absolutely.